this part is your homework, okay? So this is, I believe, on the right side of your notes, the yellow paper. And the first one, they've given you some hints, trying to show you what to do. So they put the words radians in here, but I'm not going to really stress if you have that on there or not. But anytime we're going from degrees to radians, okay? Anytime we're going to degrees to radians, you have to multiply by, oops, forgot the y, sorry. Multiply by pi over 180. So all of these problems here, 1 through 6, are multiplying by pi over 180. Now they started the first one for you. They're showing the 30 degrees times the pi over 180. So we have basically 30 over 180. Then we put our pi, and we just simplify that. You should have pi over 6. Okay, or you could have 1/6 pi. Now, yeah. For here, we're going to do 140, convert it to radians, so we multiply it by pi over 180, which really ends up being the 140 over 180, and then we'll add our pi. In your calculator, you can just type in the 140 divided by 180, and it will simplify it for you. So we have 7/9, and that would be 7/9, and then you add the pi. So that's our final answer here. Same thing, we got 300, we'll multiply it by pi over 180. Right, how you simplify that is 300 over 180. And then the pi, this becomes, when you simplify it, an improper fraction, but that's fine. 5/3 pi. Okay. So the remaining three are in this section, 4 through 6. I need you to do, that's what I'm going to really look for to check that you actually completed your homework. So we're going to leave at least 2 to 3 from each section to check if it's complete. So now when we get to this section, because we want to find the measure of each angle in degrees, so when I'm starting with radians, that means we see a pi, and we want to change it to degrees, and I'm abbreviating. We need the degree sign. Here is when you multiply, and abbreviate that, by 180 over pi. So number 7, they've kind of already set up for you. We have 2 pi radians. We want to change it to degrees. So we take that 2 pi, multiply 180 over pi. The pi's will always cancel out, which really leaves me 2 times 180, which is just 360 degrees. So which part is the radian part? Is the part with the pi. So we take that 2 pi over 3. We multiply it by the 180 over pi. Again, the pi's will cancel out. This is going to leave me with 2/3 times 180, or I can say 2 times 180, what's on top gets multiplied together, over 3. And that reduces to 120 degrees. So make sure we get the last one done. And then for our last section, the radius and the arc length are given. Find the radian measure of the central angle. Now, to find an arc length, the arc is the curved part. We normally let that curve represent S as your arc. Okay. And then we should know that right here, from the center to the edge, that is our radius. The theta is the central angle that makes the arc length. So the formula states that S, the arc length, is always equal to the radius. It's always equal to the radius times the theta. And the theta is always in terms, this angle here is in terms of radians. Instead of say terms, it's in radians. What does that mean I should see if I'm to know it's in radians? You should see a pi. Okay. All right, so if the arc length is equal to the radius times theta, the angle, then if I want to find theta, the angle, so I want to get the equal to S over R, the arc length over R. So I'm going to just use those parts. And S was the curve, okay, because the S curves. And the radius is our segment from the center to the edge. So over here, I'm just going to take the S, which is the 8, put it over the radius, which was 2, and that's going to equal to my theta, because theta said take the S over R, that gives you theta. So here, when I reduce it, this ends up just becoming 4 radians. So here, what is the S, the curve, the arc length? That is the 14, so that's your S. Your radius, that's your R. To get to your theta, you take your radius, your arc length, and you take your arc length, your S, and you divide it by your radius. So see if you can plug it in. You do get a fraction here. Make sure it gets simplified. And then on the last one, you're going to do the same thing. Don't let it confuse you. That's our S, and our radius is our 5. So when I get to my theta, I'm taking the pi thirds and I'm dividing it by the 5. So remember how we said different ways we can write it? We can write it as a fraction times pi. So this is the same as 1/3 pi, and then we're dividing by 5. So really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, what is 1/3 divided by 5? So if I don't understand it, I can go to my calculator. Control divide gives me the fraction. There's my 1/3. I'm now going to take that fraction and divide it by 5, the whole number. And there's my fraction. So my fraction is 1/15. So just to keep that pi, see if you write that answer correctly. I'll check that tomorrow. Thank you for taking care of your homework. Make sure everything's in your file. You're ready to go. Have a good one.